6 a.m. on a Monday morning. I'm going to update you from what happened last week and why that's significant for the shop, and then where we aim to go this week. I think that's a pretty interesting game plan because over time you'll be able to see our goals and what we actually wanted to do and see how accurate we were able to achieve that or how quickly. So, last week we had the 94 GMC that went out to get its exhaust put on. That got put on. Now we're doing a buff and polish on it, a few minor touch-ups, just all the way around, walk around, see what's up, and we'll have a video on that, probably a test drive video too. So if you're interested in GMC trucks, or specifically the 94 GMC that we've restored, pretty much just a factory restoration, nothing too crazy. We didn't pull the engine or anything. Or we did, but we didn't, open it up and take it to a machine shop or anything. More or less just the same engine as is, put it back in. It was a frame off restoration, so obviously that had to come out. Then we have we just got the candy paint Impala back from the hardtop convertible vinyl people, basically locally, and so that's on there. I believe that car is going to leave. We have the 70 Chevelle. That customer came in. We're all on the same page again and going to get that rolling this week, so that'll be a big focus point for progress and work. It's close to getting paint. It's got another, we just sprayed hide build on it, so we'll block sand that. If we're happy, we'll spray a final primer and then block sand that. I mean, this is the body and then the underside as well, because this is going to be a show quality car. What's kind of wild is that we're going to wet sand, buff polish the underside of this car. I'm going to take That's kind of wild. I've never even heard of that. That's new to me. Buffing and polishing the underside of a car, that's next level. But we do show quality, high-end restorations that travel the world and see every show there is, so that's just what you got to do. That's what separates you from your competition. Those small little details come out and say, oh, you didn't have to do that, but you did. And I mean, just thinking of what it would take to buff and polish the underside of a car, you're going to have water dripping on you, compound flinging on you. It's going to be awkward, but again, that's what separates you versus your competition. You doing the things that are uncomfortable that someone else might not want to do is going to be the thing that separates you from Joe Schmo down the street. And I think we're trying to put distance on, I don't necessarily believe in competitors. I believe that we're all just having fun with the things we do. I'm going to go say something real quick. All right. That was acceptable. I'm back. So, like I said, the 1970 Chevelle, going to be getting its Viper Red sprayed on it pretty soon, white stripes, probably within the next 30 days. If things keep moving quickly, we'll see what happens. I like that time frame, so I guess context for me too. Like I said in previous episodes, I'm here for business development. I work on the cars. I'm still new to the scene, right? I have a foundation in business and development and human relations. I have a passion for cars, and I have a passion for social media. So it's kind of all just done one of these numbers. I'm learning just like anyone else my age is in this industry, so there's going to be things I say that, I have a good footing. I think what I say is typically relatively accurate, but there's going to be times that I'm just a little off. Just bear with me. I'm still learning. Well, I'm trying to think of the big projects that really took a step in a good direction last week. So we had the 1968 Jaguar E-Type. That came in. The owner came in after getting it sandblasted, and we're able to take a look at it, talk with the customer. There was it's not copper, but there was some brass brazing all over the supports, all over the hood. There was a fusion of parts in a weird way. So It's a kind of an awkward restoration, not really awkward, but it's got an awkward past, as in it wasn't cleaned up and taken care of as well as it could have. Improper fixes. So we'll have to melt down that. Again, it's not copper, but we'll have to melt down that brass, replace that with actual metal. And I mean, a 68 E-Type Jaguar is not easy to find, especially parts. So, you know, if I may, I'll share a little bit of the insights on the industry. The front clip for a Jaguar, a 68 E-Type Jaguar, $28,000 or $25,000 brand new. It's like, what do you do? Do you buy a new one or do you make the old one? Because the old one's all goofed up, Bondo, missing metal, everything. And it's looking like what we're going to do is just build a new hood. Like, use the same hood, but just fix it. Easier said than done. Anyone who's familiar with any fabrication work understands is that that's going to take a second. And in an E-Type Jaguar from the 60s, they've got a very specific look, and they're very clean cut all the way around with their the way the body panels fit. So when you're shaping a front clip and a hood on such a tedious car that comes together in a very, very, very specific way, tons of bolts. I think the hood and front clip had like 100 bolts in it holding it all together. That's wild, dude. That is wild. And these were like the James Bond of bolts. They weren't your Phillips head screws. It just I don't know what they were. They were European AF. They were not easy to get out. They looked like they just sat in muggy European water atmosphere. Not that Europe or Europeans are muggy, but I understand that it's a little more of a wet climate over there. It looks like it. The car looks like it. So that one's pretty exciting. I think that's going to come out as an amazing, amazing restoration. We're going to over deliver, and the customer's going to be happy. What's nice is these restorations are, as we progress in the business, they were taking 2 years, 2 and some change sometimes, depending on the car. We got a 1970 or 69 Cougar. It's a 70 Cougar Eliminator, and not that it's taken X amount of years, but when it comes to finding parts and everything in between, like, it just takes a while. What I'm very thankful for is that we're making this machine a lot more efficient. So the turnaround time can be anywhere from 8 months to a year and a half, which is pretty acceptable in this industry. It's, the end. You not a typical restoration, but a custom one of one. You could take it to SEMA. You could travel the world with it, win awards. In a year and a half, that's acceptable. Like the end. And I get that there's going to be quicker, but some of that's just getting you in the door. When you're a year or two booked out, small price to pay. So we have a 59 Galaxy. We're waiting on the customer to see how he wants to, what kind of restoration he's actually looking for. Sometimes you get investors with these cars and who look to sell and look to sometimes just get their money back, And I do believe that's one of those customers, which we support, we're here for. We just got to give them time while they figure out what they want to do. There's a lot of money. It's high-end restorations. It climbs quickly. It does. So we get it. Oh, what else? We got a 57 Imperial in for the hood. I believe that's got to be primered one more time and then thrown some, it's like a Pepto-Bismol pink. So we'll spray the hood, give it buff polish, boom, Imperial back to the customer. We just sent out the 68 Camaro after doing a few interior, new seats upholstered, a few small things, new gas cap. If you saw in our video of us driving around at Husker Harvest Days, the gas cap was a little off. It wasn't tightening. It wasn't sitting right, basically. So, did one of those numbers. We got the RT, the 68 RT Cornet. That's just been epoxied. So now we're in a spot where we're sitting and more or less getting in contact with the customer saying, hey, what do you want to do? Here we are. This is the reality. You're going to have to replace X, Y, and Z. You know, this is just where the ball really gets going with customers is after sandblasting. Because from that point forward, you jump into it, it's fabrication, it's sheet metal, it's buying parts, you know, it's a snowball in a good way. It happens quickly. Sometimes, you know, when you're waiting to get in a restoration shop, sometimes, you know, you'll get disassembled and you'll have to wait 4 or 5 months before you even get to sandblasting, because obviously after sandblasting you got to epoxy it so you seal the metal so that it doesn't rust. It'll flash rust very quickly just to, I mean, we'd never leave them outside, but, you know, weathering, water, oil on your skin, stuff like that. And then two, we're thinking we're gonna have more of an open-ended podcast, so we'll have guests on here that, you know, we're not always gonna talk about cars. It's gonna be relatively business and this aspect of life related, but sometimes it'll, you know, every person's different. Every thing that they'll have to add is gonna be totally different. The topics, the genre, you know, I don't think we're gonna go completely rogue, but kind of like the Joe Rogan experience. You know, it's relatively vague and just whatever happens. And I think that creates excitement. It creates a real experience, and I think it's all natural to our vision. I mean, we talk business, we talk cars, we talk community, we talk family, we talk health, we talk wealth, we talk expanding and growing as an individual. Like, that's what this shop is, and that's what we focus on here. And the people that work here see that. They see the personal investment into each character, into each person, and their own development, and making sure that everyone's, you know, fed and well taken care of. And if you have anything to talk about, let's talk. If you have issues, let's work it out as a family. Because, you know, you think about it, you'll spend not half your life, but 8 hours out of every day, and you're up for 16. Okay, so you spend half your day at work. You must enjoy it. You must be able to conflict resolution. These are absolute musts for anyone looking to enjoy their work experience. Again, and it's a long time of your life. So if you're not enjoying what you're doing, simple solution, in my experience and what I've learned in the process of not wasting a second of my life, is do the things that you enjoy doing that come naturally. For me, it's speaking. For me, it's music. For me, it's cars. For me, it's traveling. For me, it's the gym. For me, it's eating healthy. Like, those are the things that I want to do. And when I veer from that and I start doing things that I shouldn't be doing, you know, it's been a while. I've been really focused on just trying to do things I enjoy. But, you know, if I don't know, playing volleyball. I love sports, but let's say I never liked volleyball and here I am playing volleyball all day. That would be going against myself. So what I'm saying is that what happens is the life that you want to live unfolds from the daily inputs of just doing the things you enjoy. And then eventually opportunity comes from that. So for me, I love thinking to myself and kind of like, you know, thinking deep thoughts. And for a long time, there was never any, you know, payout, but I enjoyed it. But now it's getting to the point where I've thought long enough on some questions that I'm able to help people. That made it worth it. But that had to come from me doing the daily inputs to get me there, which the difference between doing something you enjoy and doing something you don't enjoy is when it comes down to the nitty gritty, when it comes down to just doing the work, do you enjoy it? Can you do it 24/7 without having to, you know, hate the life you're living in the process? I think that's the point. life is like a roller coaster. So ride one that you want to ride, right? One that suits your needs, one that meets your expectations out of life. Don't know how we got into that, but we did. Many smiles to come. Trying to see how that relates back to the shop. I think most guys here love it. You know, they enjoy this environment because of many reasons, but I'll highlight two. It's a passion for everyone in here. We can talk nonstop for hours on this stuff. I mean, it happens. The reason we're doing a podcast, the reason we're doing social media is because we keep coming across these moments where it's like, geez, we really like this industry and we really have chemistry together. We may as well, because we enjoy it, share it for someone else to see, is this what I want to do? Is this something I enjoy? And I think our biggest approach with social media is valuetainment, right? We want to give you as much value per second as we know how to, and then entertain, right? Smile, enjoy what you're watching, and the reaction that you get from it. You know, I want it to be, and I think we all want it to be, something that when you see it, you just think very deeply about your own life in a positive direction, and it creates a positive impact. Whether that's, you know, you'll start to meet the guys. Johnny, he focuses a big thing on family. Like, he's like, I don't care what's going on. If family's got an issue or needs my help, I'm out every time. And like, that's something we all really respect and value, and I think personally I try to learn from it. I know what we're doing too on the podcast is trying to get new guests on here, right? So we got, for example, we'll see what happens, but right now we're talking with some owners of some businesses, local and not local, big and small, that would be interested in hopping on and doing our podcast. What's super exciting is that, again, this isn't limited to cars. It can kind of travel into health and business, and, you know, the journey of getting from point A to point B, you know, an insignificant dust mote to an insignificant dust mote that at least has, you know, a legacy, a shop in this case, a community that it can fall back on and appreciate. So, you know, things are in big change in the shop, and it seems like it's constantly, like every single week, the shop is not even the same shop. And a good way to explain that is like looking over game film in a football game, right? You look back and you see all the things you did wrong and all the things you did right. You improve, and then the next week you hit it hard. And so personally, and I feel like you guys start to see it because things keep changing, we keep doing more, and there's no context. So I like to create context. That's what I thought I wasn't recording. I like to create context so that you can follow along and feel like you're a part of this. And I just want to document. You know, I want to do two things. This is my resume. Like, well, look what I did. Here is a documentary of me doing it. And then it gives hope. It shows people, you know, I want to really share my experiences and what it's been like. And I want Todd, to, you know, the owner here, to do the same. I want everyone here to share what the reality was like getting in here, so that people can have a clear understanding of what it takes to join this industry or maybe join other industries. But, you know, I think the valley of ashes, so to say, the tribulations you experience aren't too different no matter what direction you go in. It's kind of like a few phases in my experience, you know. You have optimism, and it's not really supported by enough evidence. It's just generalized optimism. And then you keep going, and then you have despair because you have no real evidence that it's going to happen. You have no real substance in your skill to make it happen. And so you basically go through this trial period of, I just have to learn for a very long time without any real support. I mean, you got friends, family, but sometimes you don't. Sometimes, you know, they'll look at what you're doing and disagree. And so it's kind of like, oh my goodness, it's going to be amazing. Wow, I know nothing. Shit. Okay, well, and then that point, well, whatever follows after well, your why in life, is going to be the thing that keeps you going or shuts you down. Well, I'm going to do it anyway. And then from that point, I notice it's just a slow climb, step by step. You still meet tons of opposition, but you get closer to a goal. You feel yourself rising, so it's almost like becoming stronger. It's like, yeah, more opposition, but I'm doing it. And so that's kind of been the social media experience for me. You know, it started off as, why is this kid walking around with a tripod? Just believe, son, just believe. It'll work out. I'll figure it out. We are figuring it out as a team, but sometimes someone has to be the initial risk taker and to say, I'll do it, and I'll let you know when it works. Cheers. So we want feedback, we want community. I mean, genuinely, if you guys tell us what you want to watch from us, questions, comments, perspectives, talk about this, talk about that. I mean, if it's really good, we'll go completely out of our way to make that happen. I mean, genuinely, if you're like, I want to hear Todd Otto explain how he built the custom 2010 Trans Am Camaro, or I want to hear Clint explain how he learned, you know, he's our fabricator in the back there, how he learned to get so good, and why he takes us so personally that it comes out, right? Or if you just want to completely veer off topic and say, let's try something new, and I want to hear, you know, again, this is where we're at. Like, just fill us in. We want more of a casual setting in here. That's why we have these chairs. This room that we film our podcast in is changing. You know, we're trying to make it more of a personable. You come in, you just enjoy it, and natural conversation flows. Right now, it looks like a studio, where it's like, come into a podcast studio, and right? But we want a more realistic experience. So you go on Joe Rogan's, and it's like, dude, they're just shooting the shit. They're just having fun. And I think that's a point of life. And when I talk to Todd and I say, hey, what are our goals here at Muscle Car? He goes, let's make it big and let's just have fun. Like, don't be inappropriate. That's not what having fun means. Having fun means enjoying the process of getting there. Cheers. And I will. And we all will. And I think why that's important too is the more fun you have, the more it shows. The more natural you feel. The more in the flow state, in the zone you are. It shows. If you don't like this, it shows. And also, you know, a good example of doing the things you love. So I spent the weekend posting and editing videos. I'm glad I like doing this because I spent my weekend posting, editing, and then learning more about podcasting and the social media side of things. And, you know, if I didn't enjoy that, that would have been 10 hours of, but it wasn't. I enjoyed it. So much so that 6 a.m. on a Monday, first thing I do is I got to hop on a podcast. I got to hop on give me a mic and a camera, you know what I mean? So I think the shop is very professional, but very personable, and then very funny, you know? And I'm curious to see, I think we're all curious to see what will come of Alrighty. I had a whole 40-minute podcast going, and iPhone storage thought it had enough. So I'm just going to give you a quick rundown. This is what you missed. 74 Challenger. Didn't talk about it. Getting a Hellcat. Transmission, motor, tubbed in the rear, frame supported all the way around. Obviously, it's a unibody, so it's got at this point rails down the sides and some structure points from the firewall to uh, the metal frame that holds everything else, the fenders, the radiator support, that. Okay. That just got out of its fabrication stage as well. So that's going to have basically a month or so sitting in a bodywork stage. Filler, block sand, primer, all that fun stuff. Okay. Then we got a 1970 Chevelle. No, I already talked about the Chevelle. Chevy Nova that just got out of its fabrication stage, just got epoxied, and it's going to be in a similar spot to the 74 Hellcat Swap Challenger. Block sand, primer, block sand, primer, block sand, primer, block sand, paint. Right? We like to keep things pretty fast paced here, pretty engaging, pretty exciting. So there's going to be a constant pace of change. That's why I'm on here. I just want to jump on, get on the same page, communicate. Or we're going to have tons of guests, tons of different conversations. I think this is really going to be a big experience for everyone. What I'm excited for, and I think everyone else is the community aspect of this. Who can we meet? Who can we influence? And how can we make a positive change? That's what we're here for. Here in the shop, what we really enjoy talking about is health, wealth, business, cars, personal life, family, big family shop. I mean, it's a small town. It's not small, but yeah, no, it's in a small town in the Midwest. I mean, when it comes to family, when it comes to the life, it's not your California experience. It's pretty slow paced. It's the country life. I only know what I see in front of me, and that's dirt. So that's about the extent of my education. I'm joking, but it can seem like that at times. I mean, you just get very small. You literally know everyone that lives here. Like, oh, there's Joe. Oh, there's so and so. Like, it's such a small town, you know everyone. Super weird. If you didn't know, now you know. So, I don't really want to end it because I had a whole, extra 20 minutes of podcast. I feel like you guys deserve that. So, I think everyone's got their own purpose being here. I think my personal purpose is to communicate, to jump on, social media with a message. My message revolves around health, wealth, business. That's why I said those aspects of what we like to talk about being here, because that's what I like to talk about. So those are the conversations I personally have. John's big into family, so he likes to jump on to family conversations, and he knows more about cars than maybe I do, and then Todd knows more about cars, and most of the guys in the shop, some of the other guys who are a little older, are equally as experienced, it seems. So everyone comes in with their own expertise and interest points. I love cars. I love a few other things too. So I can kind of talk about my experience facing challenges because it's very relevant to the shop, the social media. It's very relevant to everyone else. It's not easy to believe. It's not easy to believe. But there's something about it that you need. You need to have hope. You need to have belief. Otherwise, you won't do it. So whether you believe it or not, the fact that having belief is going to be the differentiator between getting there or not. Because, well, I know I'm going to get there, so I'm going to go through whatever it takes to get there, versus I don't think I'm going to get there. So why would I sacrifice and be uncomfortable and be in a lot of pain if I don't even think I'm going to be rewarded for it? Happiness is found on its way towards a goal. right? The closer you get towards an aimed goal, your aiming point, the quicker and the more happiness you feel. If you don't have a goal, you don't have an aiming point, like, you are going to feel unhappy and restless. It's like sitting in traffic and after 30 minutes still being in the same spot. Gulp. That's not fun. But understanding how happiness finds you allows you to continuously stay in alignment with it. So, okay, happiness is found in relation to your goals. Okay, so what goals could you create for yourself today that you could go to bed today being happy? Health, mind, body, spirit. So, what did you do for your mind? What did you do for your health? What did you do for your development? And I just, personally, all I can do is share my experience. For me, it's, did I make it to the gym? Did I build my relationship with God? Did I push myself? Did I really feel uncomfortable at some point today that where I didn't even have an answer? That's where I want to be. I want to constantly be in a state of, by the end of whatever experience it is, typically the gym, I want to just be thankful. Wow, I survived. Holy cow. Because from that point forward, you can go to bed and rest easy. Just relax, like, truthfully, in your heart and in your soul, like, actually relax and chill out and just appreciate life because you survived that immense suffering. So what I'm saying is that each day, I think an ideal is to go to bed happy. Not happy in a false way, but happy because you know that you gave it your all that day, you didn't leave anything on the table, and you went after it, and you succeeded. And then it's like, well, what else can you do? You did the health, you did the wealth, you did the relationship with God, you got closer to your goals, you didn't fall short, you didn't overreact, you stayed committed, you stayed disciplined, you did the right things. Like, I think in my experience and the way I'm setting up my life is a successful life is how many days of those can you live? I mean, how many times can you hit that was a good day? And it doesn't mean that things went well. It means that you handled them well. You pushed. That makes, for me, a good day. It could be a real tough 20, below 20, 2 feet of snow. But if I still succeeded for that day, it doesn't matter. Family member could have died. It's like, well, how'd I handle it? Okay? And did I still make something happen out of the day? And if I can go to bed at night knowing that, it's the difference between being up late at night and being stuck in your own mind, and everyone knows what that's like, versus I can go to bed with a silent mind and be ready for tomorrow, which I personally think is an ideal. So that sort of experience you just got is my natural go-to, all I think about, passion. Things like that. You'll get a lot of that style content from me. I'll probably start my own channel at some point and do things like that. The shop's in a spot right now where we're learning everyone's strengths and weaknesses. So when it comes to business style podcasts, I best be on it. When it comes to cars, we get Jay Leno in here, and he just wants to talk about cars. I think that's more of a Todd podcast, a John podcast, a Clint. Some of the more experienced who could actually hold up a very intelligent conversation in depth about cars and the variety of them. I'm still new. I was born in 2001, so I'm only familiar with the cars that I've experienced as they've came out, and now I'm going back and learning about all these other cars. That's just where age and experience. So you're going to get a lot of custom fabrication work, a lot of how-tos, a lot of we built this is how we did it. a lot of humor. This is a fun place to be, like it really is. It's lively, it's fun, it's professional, it's enjoyable. You know, I think a lot of places lose that for that corporate feel. But I mean, maybe it's just we're a Midwest kind of small town. Again, small town. It's a big shop, small town. So you're gonna get a lot of freshness with each podcast. That's what we want. And then we just want to find consistency. Consistency compounds. Think about that. Just like a 401k or a Roth IRA or anything else that compounds, you know, first video get 10 views, the next one will get 18, the next one will get 32 in the first hour, the next, the 10th one will get 180 in the first hour, the 50th will get 20,000 the first hour, the 100th will get 50,000 the first, like it just compounds. And then all of a sudden, the difference in progress between each one, it's an exponential curve. So by your 200th, you've got 150k or 400k 500k views in the first hour, and then from 200 to 201 is like 550k views, and then 202 is like 620k views, which is a huge increase in views per video uploaded compared to the beginning, where you're only getting 30 more views or 80 more views, or you know maybe the percentages are the same. Maybe it's 30% increase, 30% increase, 30% increase, which is great, but when you're starting off at $1, a 30% increase is a joke. But when you're at finally make it to 100 million, 30% of 100 million, 30 million, that's where you get that compounding interest for views and following and everything else. So I'm going to leave you with this. This is what we do here at Muscle Car Concepts. We build custom SEMA, Barrett-Jackson, Mecum auction vehicles that travel the world for the world to see because they are one-of-one pieces of art. That's what we do here, right? We do $250,000 to $500,000 restorations and custom one-offs. That's what we do. We build the baddest and coolest stuff the world's ever seen. You dream it, we build it.